With so many people wanting amazing views and history when coming to London, I can't believe that after all these years I finally found the place. Yes, Westminster Abbey gives you these and so much more. Join me as I discover kings, queens and poets with incredible architecture and artefacts dating back to the 7th century. Here at Westminster Abbey. Also keep watching as I found a couple of secrets for you to discover when you're here. Welcome to Westminster Abbey, and here we're just above the north door looking at the stained glass there. The origins of an abbey on this ground date back to 960 or 970, when St Dunstan and King Edgar installed a community of Benedictine monks on the site. It is said that a young fisherman called Aldrich was on the River Thames and had a vision of St Peter near the site. Between 1042 and 1052, King Edward the Confessor began rebuilding St Peter's Abbey to provide himself with a royal burial church. It was the first church in England to be built in the Romanesque style. The church was consecrated in December 1065, a week only before Edward's death on the 5th of January 1066. A week later he was buried here, and then the tradition began of all the kings and queens being buried here since that time, with the exception of King Henry VIII, who is at Windsor Castle. The first coronation that took place here was in 1066 later that same year, and it was William the Conqueror, and all coronations have taken place here ever since. The Abbey is the burial site of over 3,300 people, usually people of prominence within British history. Here we're by the west door, and you have Winston Churchill's memorial. Not only that, but also the grave of the unknown warrior. Whilst the Abbey was here since 960, the current church we're looking at now started being built in 1245 by King Henry III. Nearly all construction was completed by 1260, and now you have what remains. Here we're looking at the entrance to the choir, which also takes you up to the organ area as well. And this is the choir through the other side, which is quite incredible. This area known as a choir is an area of a church or a cathedral that provides the seating for the clergy and the church choir. And it's normally in the western part of the chancel between the nave and the sanctuary. And it also houses the altar and also the church tabernacle. Here behind some of the seating in the choir you can see where some of the countries in the Commonwealth are named. Here we're looking at the stained glass looking out to the east of the Abbey. Also later we'll be going up to the middle level where the smaller arches are to get a view back against the whole of the Abbey, which is incredible and well worth waiting for. Now let's look at the altar. The floor in front of the high altar is a Cosmati pavement. It's a hand-decorated mosaic floor which is made of triangles and rectangles of coloured stones and glass. When we go to the gallery later, you'll get a better view of it. Now let's look at the stained glass. This is the stained glass above the north door. It's interesting that a lot of the design is old, but you do get the odd one or two modern window which you can just see there. Now we're looking towards the west window, and this is above the memorial to Winston Churchill. And this is the south window. The pavement in front of the high altar gets used during coronations, where the coronation chair is placed upon it very carefully. Now we're going to look around some of the various chapels which are just past the altar and go round the east of the Abbey. Dating back to 1066, this is the tomb of Edward I. This is the tomb of Henry III, who was responsible for the construction of the now Westminster Abbey. This tomb dates to 1269. Whilst we're giving you some history about the Abbey, let's tell you about now, because when you come here, the brilliant thing is that everyone gets an audio guide as part of the ticket price, and as you go round it tells you which buttons to press so you can find out all of the history and all of the different things that you're looking at. So it's well worth coming, and definitely pick up the audio guide, and once again it's free for everyone and included as part of the ticket. It's quite sombering thought to be that deep in history, with here are the bodies of the kings and queens of England, and now we're looking at the tomb of Queen Elizabeth I. Her tomb is in a separate chapel just off the Lady Chapel. If you've been to the Tower of London, you'll know about the two princes in the tower, and these are the tombs for them. The work that's gone in here is absolutely incredible. I just want to give you some of the detail that's gone around Elizabeth I's tomb. And here we have a plaque at the head of Queen Elizabeth I, because very soon we'll be looking also at the tomb of Queen Mary. Now this has to be one of the most amazing pieces of Westminster Abbey, and it's tucked away at the far east wing. And this is the Lady Chapel, and it's almost like stepping into another church, which it is because it's adjoining Westminster Abbey. If someone is knighted and given the Order of the Bath, then they have the right to have their family banner hanging here. As you can see, the window displays are quite stunning. Compared to Westminster Abbey, this part feels quite modern, but it was built by Henry VII and it was completed in 1519. Within the Lady Chapel itself, there are a number of chapels off around the sides, but right bang in the centre is the chapel of King Henry VII, who did build this. And this is it. I suppose if you're going to get a privilege for building a chapel, you may as well be buried here. The great thing, if you're doing the tour and you're doing it on your own and you're using the audio guide, you can take as long as you want to walk it. And also the great thing is you can go back to different bits and have a look around as well, so you really can do this under your own steam. The material to build the Lady Chapel came from Caen in France, also the Isle of Portland, which used Portland stone, and the Loire Valley region of France as well. And one thing that can't be missed is the intricate work on the ceiling, which is just absolutely incredible. And just look to the right of those emblems that are within there as well. On the other side of the Lady Chapel from Queen Elizabeth I, you have here the tomb of Mary Queen of Scots, who of course were dreaded enemies at the type point in history. Mary's tomb is quite ornate, and the reason for this is it was designed by the then King, King James I, who of course was the son of Mary Queen of Scots. He decided not only should it have the Scottish emblems, but it should have the English ones as well, because he believed that she should have been the rightful heir to the English throne as well. Now here we head back into the Abbey, and as we do, it's not this tomb immediately in front of us we're looking at, but we're looking behind at this, which is the shrine of King Edward I, or otherwise known as Edward the Confessor. And the reason we're looking at it from here is because you can't get any closer to it, because that area is closed, because it is so delicate an area of the Abbey. Here we're looking at the tomb of Edward III, and the one thing to notice is his 6 children in gold cast on the side, with 2 of the coats of arms missing from underneath them. That's the 4th and the final one. Do make sure that you take your time to look around some of the shrines that they have around the outside. Now, these are well worth their look, because look at this. That's just brass that's sitting there on top of the tombs. Also, as this is an ancient building, do remember there are some small steps there that you could potentially trip over, so do be aware of that. But some of the detail here is absolutely incredible. Now, we're looking at this piece because that wooden structure there is the back of the altar, which we saw earlier, and you can just see how dated that wood is just behind where we're showing you. As I highlighted earlier, King Henry VIII is buried at Windsor, but one of his wives is buried here, which is Anne of Cleves. Anne was Henry's 4th wife, and not only outlived him, but also his other wives as well. Now I want to take you to a secret area of the Abbey that you've got to visit, and as you can see, the views from here are incredible. So this is up in the Queen's Jubilee Gallery. The entrance is easy to miss, so when you see Anne of Cleves, it's directly behind you. Now, when you're there, you go up to the floors and you get to see all of this. These items are replicas, with the originals being held in the Tower of London. The replicas are used here at Westminster Abbey for when they practice coronations. Right, here comes a London visited secret. Can you see there are drawers in this cabinet? You can pull those out and that will give you further information and also show you some other things as well, but not many people know this. This is one of 2 coronation chairs, but this chair was actually built in 1689 for the coronation, which was joint with William III, and this was Mary II's chair. You'll see the other chair later. Here you're looking at a charter which was drawn up in 930, and next to it another charter from 1130. These are the original documents, so once again it's incredible because you're looking back at history here of 1,000 years old. Now earlier under the coronation items I showed you a secret drawer. There's another one here, and believe it or not there's a charter which they think comes back from 693, which is the one on the left. Now if this is indeed the case, that makes this the oldest piece of artefact here at Westminster Abbey. Now we're still up in the gallery, and I must say that you need to climb to the gallery, or alternatively you can take a lift up here, and entrance is £5 per person. But to see the things you see up here and the views that you get are incredible. And that building with the scaffolding is the Houses of Parliament. And if you look out of this window, so if you come and find it, you'll see the gargoyles which are on the roof of Westminster Abbey. That's how high up you are. Again, spend as much time up here as possible, but just look at these views across Westminster Abbey. And once again, that's the pavement in front of the altar, right through the choir and right down to the west entrance. When you come back down from the gallery, you're here in Poets' Corner, and as you can see, it pretty much speaks for itself. Really hope you're enjoying our tour, and if you are, give us a thumbs up, because then we can spread more of London to others to love London as well. But this time going back into history, this time for literature, this is the tomb of Geoffrey Chaucer from 1400. After leaving Poets' Corner, you get the chance to go outside and walk around the cloisters, which is this big open area here, which almost looks like something out of Hogwarts. Here, as we look across the green to the fountain, you can see in the background the Victoria Tower of the Houses of Parliament. If you're loving the history, I've put a link to our playlist on historical places in London up in the top right hand corner. Off the cloisters you've got a cafeteria and also toilets, so if you want time for a refreshment, sit down and chill and take in what you've seen, it's a great place to come and just chill for a bit. We've still got the Coronation Chair to show you, but what's been your favourite part of the tour? Let us know in the comments down below. To leave Westminster Abbey once you've been in the cloisters, you have to go back into the Westminster Abbey itself at the west side. So you come in back by the tomb of the unknown soldier, and then it also gives you that great view down Westminster Abbey once more. Before you leave, there are still some surprises in store, including this, for over 700 years old. This is the Coronation Chair, dating from 1308. This has been the seat to 38 different coronations so far. Here also you have the plaque to the Earl and also Countess Mountbatten of Burma, and above that is the portrait of King Richard II. It's believed this was painted in the 1390s when he was still alive. Now we're standing outside Westminster Abbey at the west door, and this door was most commonly used for people going in and out of the Abbey, and was probably most highlighted most recently when William married Kate here at Westminster Abbey and they went through this door. If you love history, then we've put a video up in the top right hand corner of our visit to the Tower of London, which dates back to 1066. Yes, more history in London. If you click on that, we'll see you in there.